Well, it's Saturday and I'm still in Stuttgart, mainly because they're running some vintage trams this afternoon and tomorrow. But while one waits for the tram, one can be entertained by a brass band. I don't know exactly what the occasion is here. There seems to be thousands of people shopping. The pedestrian mall, which you saw, no, it was on the other tape. The pedestrian mall anyway is crowded full of people and you can hardly move. But anyway, we'll go looking for some old trams as soon as the number 6 comes through the tunnel. I don't know where they're all going, but it's good to pass them at speed. You'd never pick the ticket inspector. That's the lady there with the pink top and the white. A lot of their ticket inspectors look like housewives out shopping. I think she might have found somebody there.
Ja. Ja, Moment mal.
Entschuldigung.
Ja. Müssen wir aber nachher rasen.
Ja, ja. Ist morgen nicht hier. Ich versuche dran zu denken, ja. Dann hat sie einer übrig, nur schwarz versprechen lassen, aber Entschuldigung. Ja, also den 100er, ja.
going to be easy, but there's an interesting lineup of old cars at the Girlingen depot, which I think must be just for museum cars. There's always going to be people in the way, I'm afraid. Feuerbach City Tramways, which is now a suburb of Stuttgart, so they obviously it was once an independent system. This one's here is one of the DOT4 cars, 2 rooms and a bath built out of a couple of four-wheelers. These were still in use in 1975, but a few years back, as the system shrank a little, they were no longer required. They were quite powerful. Nice little toy. Well, I'm sure its horsepower is not of toy size. Trailer here undergoing restoration. Could be wrong, but the cafe car looks a lot like a former END car, Esslingen, Nellingen, Denkendorf. That was closed about 1976, unfortunately, but at least I rode it once. This one's from Girlingen and also is now part of Stuttgart. So it seems though the Stuttgart tramways were made out of a number of independent little systems. The OT4 a little better now. Only a very shallow depot fan and quite a small depot, only 8 roads. The tendency seems to be to have closed some of the smaller ones. The inside of the DOT4 car has been set up as a mini museum with a number of historical plans and photographs attached to the windows. Trailer operation with four-wheelers was a rather normal feature in Europe, and Stuttgart, of course, was no exception. Was far too crowded to get a photo on. That's on the way out. It had a traditional rotating hand controller with electric brake as well. This controller looks, and cabin sign looks very much more like a GT4 one, which the car is still in use. These little four-wheelers date from the mid-50s or thereabouts, and were still in use for school traffic when I was here in 1975. Rather smart-looking four-wheelers in my opinion.
Daniel,
One thing about the air brake gauges that I've come to discover is that rather than show you how much pressure you've put in the brake cylinder, it shows you how much air you've released from the train pipe, railway style. As you see, there's been a reduction take place, and that means the brakes have come on sort of back to front to normal, and had me tricked on that little car I had to drive off in Switzerland. I couldn't work out which way was on and which way was off. What sounded right didn't look right on the pressure gauge. I think the Americans also talk about making a reduction, and thus they're reducing the air pressure to put the brakes on, which is what you're really doing anyway, except it just depends on where your meter is attached. Your pressure gauge is attached into the system.
Du keine Hand daher. Weißt? Ja? Du kannst da schon heben. Aber nicht an die Tür nach. Gell?
The little kid was about to get his hand squashed in the door. Generally speaking, these systems seem to like to have the catenary wire over a reserve track, but for normal street running it tends more usually to be just single tram wire. Probably looks have got a lot to do with it, and possibly the likelihood of speed in each situation would be a factor as well. The tram is operating more or less in regular traffic between the regular cars, and people with an ordinary ticket that's valid anyway can ride on it. The return trip, however, costs 1 mark, and if you bought normal tickets any other time to ride on the trip, it would cost nearly 4 times that much. So it's a bargain ride anyway. So any locals in the know who want to go as far as the museum operation goes, which is about a 20-minute ride, could save some money by catching one of the vintage cars. The conductors on the 2 cars had to give a bell signal to the driver. On this one, however, the doors are fitted in automatically, and a little bell rings when all the doors are shut. So in this case the conductress has a lot less to do. It seems quite possible the trip out was the busier bit. All of you who think Hello is wasting more time in Stuttgart, or is there anyway, are wrong, because this is Ulm. ULM. But they did, however, fairly recently buy some of the GT4 cars from Stuttgart, and that's what they're running here tonight. Ulm is another city that belongs to that exclusive club of being the one line left from a formerly larger city. Certainly in the case of Ulm and probably a few others, it's because of the high amount of traffic they carry. I think Ulm carries something like 40% of all passengers in the city, and the buses carry the rest. Yet it's only one short line. Well, you wouldn't believe that was possible on a half-hourly service, would you? Anyway, I think that's about all. I'll say goodbye to Ulm. Up on the top there's the railway line. There have been a couple of trains go over, but not quite at the right time. There's just a truck coming. Well, the sign says Track 1, Orient Express, Stuttgart, Karlsruhe, Strasbourg, Nancy, Paris Est. Fast train going at 22:15. Well, that's not too far away now. I can get the right button. So we'll see whether it's the real Orient Express or whether it's just an imposter. By the way, I found out what those kerosene lamps are for. A goods train just went through and there's one of them hanging off the back end. Well, looks like it's going to be an imposter. So far it's just mainly been French carriages. No, it's an imposter. They just later on a few German carriages. I don't know who owned the last one. Certainly no old wooden carriages.